You better check that list. Check it twice, check it 3 times. Everything I'm wearing, looking so fresh, I'm looking so nice. Everything's easy, everything. What you mean you don't know about me? You better check that list. Don't play with me. What you mean you don't know?
All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Launchpad. Today, I am joined by Darkheart. Darkheart, how you doing, man?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. Excited to talk with you. I know we were talking a little bit before we got started here about some of the topics we're going to cover, and I am super excited to dive into all of these. And I'm really excited to talk with you because your story of how you got into music is so unique compared to, I feel like, how most other people get into music. Because I feel like for most people, they kind of have the story of like, oh, they've always been a big music fan. They were kind of exposed to, DJing. They didn't like really come in through like another industry to get there. But your story, like you actually moved from Indiana, where you were born, out to Los Angeles, what would you say, like 13 years ago or something like that,
Yep.
to pursue a career in the movie industry as would you say, a talent agent, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so you came out as a talent agent in the movie industry before diving into your music career, which I find super fascinating. So I want to hear more about that story. If you could like take us back to like, 13 years ago, that move to LA, like that big life change for you, kind of how you got exposed to music through like those DJ and remix competitions, and kind of how you got to where you're at right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So, a little before I actually, moved to LA, when I was in college, I started my friend and I I went to school I grew up in Indiana, went to school in Ohio, Dayton, Ohio. And believe it or not, back when I was in school, there wasn't like a lot of live shows at our campus. And we would always see on like the bigger campuses in Texas and USC and New York, they would always have, there was a lot of rappers back then, but there was also some DJs. And so we just started back then. It was MySpace Music, and I guess that kind of ages me a little bit, but it is what it is. So we would just hit people up on MySpace Music, and you'd be surprised at how accessible a lot of them were. And there's actually a lot of Midwest promoters who went on to stay in dance music. And I think it just because what you do is you hit up one of these artists that you want to have come to your school, and you kind of pay the upfront fee yourself. And what we would do is we would go to like a bar on campus, and we would say, hey, you guys can have we'll bring in this act. You guys obviously keep all the bar sales, and then we keep the door. We charge a cover.
Mm-hmm.
And you could find really cool up and coming acts that it wasn't prohibitive, and we can make a bit of money doing it, and we enjoyed doing it. We enjoyed throwing these parties. So that's sort of where I developed this love of just like live shows, and being able to bring artists that I really liked onto our campus at the time. So just a couple of the people that we brought was like Mike Posner, Wiz Khalifa.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Back when they were, still sort of, and my partner in that business actually went on to work with Mike for a good many years, went on tour with him right out of school. And so that's sort of where I got started. I remember there was a couple shows where, we didn't have the act wouldn't show up on time, and we would have a DJ come in, or one of us would sit there and like do the music. And it was just really fun. I think that was probably my first exposure to DJing, which is late for a lot of the kids who I know who, have been into it since they were like 15, 16. But in the Midwest, you kind of are on the music wagon last, or at least like most people were. And not to denigrate that, it was awesome. There's a lot of really, really cool music, but I always felt like we were like, oh, this act is really cool. Let's bring them to our campus, even though people don't know yet, they'll become fans. That definitely happened with Mike. He would remember it today if he was on this call. He could tell you about Dayton. It was, I think, his first show off of Duke's campus back then. So, and I remember Pat, the guy who I started the company with, he actually started the company and brought me in. I shouldn't say it that way, Pat, if you see this. you started it, you brought me in. But he just called Mike off of MySpace Music, if I'm not mistaken. His number was just on there. So Pat just called him, and he came down. So that was my first exposure to it. And I remember really liking being in that tiny world of entertainment that we sort of created. And then, when I was a junior, between my junior and senior year, my mom actually came to me, and she had this intern opportunity that she thought I should apply for in LA. It was interning for a producer for movies. And I had been in like school plays and that thing when I was younger. I wanted to be an actor and perform and stuff. And so I thought, okay, maybe I'll see what this is about. So I came to LA the summer before I graduated, and I interned for this guy, Ralph Winter, who you could look him up. He's a prolific producer. He did like Godzilla, X-Men movies, like big movies. For him and his partner, Terry Botwick, who was a big executive at CBS for a long time. I'm not quite sure what those guys are up to today, but they're great guys. And I learned a lot from them. And one of the things I remember very distinctly was being, you're in Hollywood, you're on the phone calls with your boss. And I was, so like you're quiet, but you can hear what your boss is saying to other people. And I remember that Ralph was on the phone one day with his agent over at ICM. And I remember hearing this guy, he seemed to know everything that was going on. I didn't really understand what an agent did, but I was like, hey, that's cool. Like, I want to do that. And then I go back to Ohio, and I try to apply for these jobs thinking that like they're going to pay attention to me. But no, I don't live in LA. And the way the agencies were, at least back then, and I think for the most part today, you kind of need to be there at a moment's notice because it's a very sought after job to get in the mailroom. I got rejected from all of them. And then I just decided I'm moving there. Like, this is what I want to do. So I moved there without a job. Here, I should say, to LA without a job. And I just started just hustling and trying to figure out a way to get in the agency. Ran out of money very quickly. And I was like subleasing a room. I slept on the floor of a frat house for a while at UCLA. I was just doing anything I could to kind of get in, trying to just interviewing. And eventually I got a part-time, like a headhunter helped me get a part-time thing at what was then William Morris on the music side. So I started actually in what's called Music Central. It's like the mailroom of music, and they liked me. I was working really hard. I think they recognized like work ethic, and they wanted to take me on full time. So I got in there, and this was around the time when there was another agency called Endeavor that came in and sort of took over William Morris agency. And it was at that time that I decided to move on to the movie, the film side of things. And so the HR was helpful. They helped me go from Music Central to the mailroom for film and motion pictures. And I just started there delivering mail, ended up getting my first desk. And then, basically the way it works is you're just an assistant for, some people may know this, you're an assistant for one agent. You work for them for like, a year, and then you move to another desk for another year, whatever. I did a number of different desks. I ended up working for one of the co-CEOs over there, Patrick Weitzel, who was like really a mentor to me and someone who was instrumental in moving my career forward and teaching me, showing me the ropes and how all this stuff works. And some years later, I got promoted, and I was an agent for actors and actresses. And, I loved my job. Being an agent's an awesome job. I love it. You meet all kinds of interesting people. It was still one of the things I miss the most is you're on like 100 phone calls a day. It's super fast paced, super exciting, very, every day is kind of different. And I love still a lot of my greatest friends are still agents over there. And some have moved on to other places, and it's just really solidified a lot of friendships for me. But I always felt like I had some unfinished business in music, and I had always been tinkering around in Logic and Ableton just sort of as a hobby. But once you get to agent, or even by the time I was pretty high up assistant, you just do not have time for a hobby. You just don't. I think any agent could attest to that. Especially not music. Music is like, especially what I wanted to do. there's no like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And I kind of realized this. And so I just decided, I thought about this for a long time, but I just decided that I was going to take a shot. I had already moved away from my home. I had already, moved away from my family. And I just decided, hey, if I'm going to take big risks, I'm going to do it with something that I really felt like I could excel in, and something I wanted to do in college. But kind of a sidebar, in the Midwest, there's sort of this attitude where, if you're not making a paycheck every week, 2 weeks, you don't have a job. So I never considered just jumping right into music. And I felt like, if I don't do this now, I'm never going to do it. And I'm just always going to wonder what if. And so I just decided, hey, if I don't pull this Band-Aid off and do it, I'm just going to be upset with myself for the rest of my life. So I decided to quit and told my bosses, and they were all extremely surprised by this. But I said, it's something I have to do. Luckily, the guys who started Endeavor, they were also entrepreneurs. They quit their jobs to start their company, and so they understood, and they were very kind and supportive, and still are to this day. And so I left, and I went to a school called Icon Collective, which maybe some people are familiar with. I went there for just basically to catch up and really like dive in and challenge myself to get great at making music. So I guess that's the abbreviated version of how the Hollywood side of things was for me. I mean, if you want to hear what it's like to be an agent, I'm happy to talk about it. Or, I definitely had some jobs in between to just sort of, keep, I guess not as like a safety plan, really more of just it. When I first quit, I felt like I needed to put in my 10,000 hours for you Malcolm Gladwell fans out there. And I wanted to be bringing in money somewhere, even though no one was paying me to make music yet. I was confident. I'm like, I'm going to get there. I'm just not there yet. So, it was a very trying time, especially having come from as much as there are similarities between music and the movie business, there's a lot of differences, and it's a lot different representing someone and advocating for a client as opposed to being the client and trying, advocating for yourself before I had management. It was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. But I learned a lot. And I think I'm super grateful and happy with past me for making that decision. So,
No, it sounds like it all worked out really well for you on that. What do you think, like, from being an agent in the movie industry, like what's kind of the biggest lesson you learned from that helps you in your music career now?
The biggest lesson I would tell anyone this who's looking to start in entertainment in anything ever. The entertainment business is not fair. That's the number one thing you need to know. Now, I knew that a long time before entering music, but it's just, there's so much of it that's up to timing and luck. And even if I were to give you the movie business example, say you represent actors and actresses, there's so many factors outside your control, like physicality. If for example, let's say they're casting, they're doing a Thor movie, right? Well, if you don't look like Thor, we can't do that. There's not much you can do to, Chris Hemsworth is Thor because he looks like Thor. Yeah, he's a great actor. Don't get me wrong. Like, the guy's supremely talented, but if he looked like if it was Michael Shannon, they're not going to cast Michael Shannon as Thor. He doesn't look like Thor. There's just certain things that are outside.
I'd still watch that.
You know what? Maybe Michael Shannon should be Thor, but you see what
maybe there's a spin-off in the works that we don't know about. I would watch that.
The reboot of Thor. But you know what I mean? There's certain things that are outside your control. And I think the same is true in music. Like, there's just, and I think that staying consistent and being sort of steady in the pocket with what you want to do and sticking to it, because a lot of people will drop out and quit before they actually even find out if their project was ever going to have a real chance. It takes time. It takes a lot of being told no. So I think, the number one thing that I just think it's good to set your mindset. It's not fair. Accept that. Don't expect it to be fair. It's never going to be fair. It's just not the way it is. So, that's something that I learned. And then consequently, you can set up to go, okay, do I really want to do this? Is this really something that I want to do with my career? And if it is, if you don't mind that, and I didn't mind that, then, and I think, then you should do it. But also I think that it's set in the back of my mind, this notion of I'm not going to give up. But I'm never going to stop doing this. You're going to, I will still be here. No matter what, this is exactly what I want to do. And once you have that attitude, it's a little bit it's empowering. You know what I mean? So yeah, to me, that's what sort of stands out as just an overarching thing to keep in the back of your head. I think a lot of artists compare themselves to other people. It's almost impossible not to, even if you don't want to. Someone else will go, oh, yeah, A&Rs will do it for you. The labels are very fond of, so, well, do you have anything like X record, whatever? Do you have them? We need something like Do It To It or whatever. And you're like, I don't. Wait.
Everyone's favorite track.
I mean, but seriously, that's the flavor of, last year, everyone wanted that. And now everyone, so you get comparisons all the time, whether or not you want them. So at least don't do it to yourself. Try to, when you're learning too, it's hard because you're copying other people, trying to figure out the techniques, just the techniques purely. Like you can't really execute a vision if you don't know how to, do the basics, the very, very basics. And you learn the basics from copying other people. That's just how it is. But the sooner you can break out of the thought pattern of comparing yourself to others, I think it gets a lot easier and more fun, and realize you're on your own path and be happy for other people's success. It's like, I think I was fortunate actually to be in the agency beforehand, because I just realized, like, I was always advocating for other people, and I was happy when they would do well. And so in my own music career, I think I've been very able to sort of not ignore what other people are doing, but just when something good happens to someone, be happy about it. And then, some people go up really quick and then they come down even faster. And you just have to know that's the way the business works, and just try to adjust the best you can.
Yeah, no, I like that. That's a really solid answer. I want to kind of stay on the topic of, advocating for people. One question I love to ask producers and DJs, especially ones that have seen a little bit of success in the industry, is who are some like lesser known artists and producers that you think more people should know about? Like who are some people you would advocate for right now if you had the chance to?
You mean like in the dance space, or like any space?
I guess I'm more asking specifically about like EDM and dance music, but like if you have answers outside of that, I'd love to hear them too. I'm always curious to be put on to new people.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, there's it's funny because like only like as I've continued just sort of like building my career and then getting more of a profile, I get so much music sent to me, and it's like an overwhelming amount of high quality music. Some of it's not for me, but I can recognize when you get something that's extremely high quality. And I think that and you also get a lot of garbage. I'm going to be honest about that too. So it's like both of those things. And there are so many where I just hear a song and I'm like, whoa, this is ridiculous. Like, I guess I could, I think there's, without like saying the whole, like that I know the entire trajectory of an artist project, I've heard some songs from some up and coming artists that I'm really encouraged by. Particularly right now, the most exciting stuff that I've heard has been sort of in the more melodic techno space. There's some artists coming up, like songs I play in my set that I'm just thinking about. And like, these are songs that they'll be sub 10,000 plays sometimes, and they're just bangers. Like there's this artist, June, Joone, who has a song called Estera. It's on Borders of Light, which I believe is Toto Chiaveta's label. And that label constantly is fun. No, this guy, June, may have been around for a while. I don't really know, but I can say that like he definitely isn't getting the recognition that I think. I mean, that song, I play it in all my sets. It's a huge banger. There's this other guy. I don't know how you pronounce his first name. It's Ez Ramirez, Eze, Ez Ramirez. He has a song called Highland. It's one of the sickest songs in my sets. And, you know, Camel Fat Play It Out. He's getting massive support from some really, really, you know, high level artists. I think that he's going to go on to do big things. There's this other artist that I was just put onto, Mother Earth, who I think he only has like one song out right now. He's been a producer for a while, from what I understand, but I've heard some of his unreleased stuff, and it's ridiculous. Already getting support from Camel Fat and some other massive artists, and I'm just like I'm super impressed by. I think like those just that list right there, come back in 2 years, and I have really high hopes for those projects. I'm trying to think of other projects that, because I don't know, I don't really view people as like, you know, up and coming. I think I'm up and coming, you know, like, so I don't really, far be it from me to say, you know, like, far be it from me to say that, you know, I'm further ahead or less far ahead. Some people start new projects, whatever. I'm very much of the mindset that, like, if I hear a song that's really, really great and it doesn't have that many plays, or, you know, the artist doesn't have that many followers yet, that's the only thing we can go off of. But I hope if any of them see this, that they know I'm not saying that I'm like bigger or anything like that. It's just,
no, definitely
those are artists that I'm a fan of. For sure. And I mean, there's so many others. I just feel like I'm on the spot. I'm trying to think of some others.
No,
I'll come back to you.
Good answers, man. There's so many great people out there in the industry. There's so much talent out there right now. So it's always cool to hear from other DJs and producers, kind of some of the names that they're thinking of people that like aren't getting the recognition that they deserve right now.
Oh, well, there's other ones who are just like they're, in my view, like total going to be total superstars in a couple of years. And I think people already know this. Like, Dis Freak is killing it. They're from Ireland. They're awesome. Like, everything they do gets played by everybody. It's absurd. Like, I'm such a huge fan of those guys, and I think they're going to be superstars. Same with Matt Guy. He's out of, I think he's out of the UK. He's just like on every cool label right now, just banger after banger. Yeah, I mean, there's so many who I think are going to be, and I'm not saying, again, like the level they're at now. I'm just saying, like, if I had to predict who's going to be on the big stages in the next couple of years, like, I definitely think those guys will be. Airwolf Paradise has been putting on a clinic lately.
That's a good answer.
All of his releases. And then Grigore, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, Grigore. He just did an EP with Solomon's label Dynamic. That's just, it's hard for me not to play every song on the EP. It's absurd. It's so good. Just such high quality and so unique. And it's, you know, he's really defined his sound. So yeah, I guess like all of those acts come to mind for me when I'm thinking about artists that I'm always playing their music, and it's a hard for me to like not play all their songs, you know?
Yeah. Whoa. So I'm assuming all those artists like kind of serve as a little bit of inspiration for you to kind of keep going on your project and keep making music on your end. But like, who were some of those artists early on when you first got into making music that kind of helped inspire you to go down this route?
Well, you know, when I first started, I didn't think I was going to have an artist project. I thought I was just going to produce for like rappers and pop acts and maybe DJs at some stage. But I definitely didn't think I was going to have an artist project.
Can you talk a little bit about that too? Because you were telling me some of the stuff you did on just like the producer side of things before you started your own project. And like, I think that's super interesting too.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, when I first got started, this is even before I felt like I was a competent producer, and I didn't have that much going. Like, I didn't have that many things that I would have been proud to show anyone. And this is like right after I quit. But I had a friend of mine, a producer, she, not a music producer, a TV producer and movie producer. And she hit me up and she said, "Hey, we're doing this DJ competition for, you know, whatever, like, would you want to do it?" And I'm like, I haven't DJ'd since college. Like, you know, it sounds cool. I just don't have the project for it, whatever. And she's like, no, you don't need to. Like, they're going to set all, you know, we'll figure that out. But if you win, or if you're a finalist, you go to Vegas and play Wet Republic with, Tiesto and whatever. And I was like, wow, I'm a big fan of Tiesto. So I was like, okay. So I guess for a weird way, like it's kind of Tiesto's fault if that Dark Heart exists. It actually directly is Tiesto's fault that I exist as Dark Heart. It really is, because I did it because I was a big fan of his. I mean, I remember seeing him play the Olympics when I was a kid, and like, he's a legend. So I went out for it, and I got in. I didn't win, but I ended up being a finalist, and it started a relationship that's continued to this day for me and Tice. And so that just really like inspired me. And funnily enough, when we started the competition, they're like, okay, you have to come up with an artist name, and like, what's your artist project? I had no idea they were going to ask that. So I had like one night, I think, to come up with something. And I went with the where Dark Heart comes from is the name. I had heart palpitations when I was an agent. And it wasn't because I don't think I was stressed. At least I don't think I was. I really had adjusted quite well to the job, but I really enjoyed it. But once I started doing music, the heart palpitations stopped. And that was just like the first thing that came to my mind. And so I just went with that. And here we are years later. But yeah, so I ended up after that competition, I was in the airport on the way back. I didn't win. I was sort of bummed, but I had done a song for this remix competition for DJ Chucky and Sky Bobby Puma. And I ended up winning that. And so then I had a remix out under Dark Heart, and like, that's how the project started. So, but I didn't feel nearly competent enough to be putting music out. I mean, honestly, this was just a total whim. It just fell into place like that. And so I was like, okay, I guess we're off to the races. And I figured I would still produce for other people. And yeah, I mean, as I grew as a producer, I started, I did a lot of remixes early on, but then I also, I kind of got into production a bit more just via remixing. Actually, I did a unofficial remix, like a bootleg remix for this guy Gashi, and then they heard it and they made it official. It was posted on a YouTube channel. They heard it, they made it official. So then we started talking, and I had some ideas for stuff for him. I ended up producing on a few of his albums, which you can hear. His last album, I produced the single on it called Gasoline, and then another one called Blood on Fur, and another one called Truth Over Love. And then I produced one on another album that he did. So from there, I started getting opportunities to work with, they would just pop up naturally sort of from people. And I got a manager somewhere in that time frame. I think like 2018, I started working with my manager, and I did some songs for a grime artist, Ocean Wisdom, and Dizzy Rascal. And, it just, so it's popped up from time to time. Obviously I've really been focusing more on my artist project of late, but I find that a lot of productions for other people kind of come about organically. Like if you're working with someone, you get in the studio, I never sit there and go, this has to be for me. I feel like it's a lot of pressure. I try to make something great that goes off of what the other person is great at as well. And if it works for me, great. If it ends up being for pitch, awesome. Maybe it's better for their project. So a lot of things have come about naturally that way. Yeah, so in that way, I kind of feel like it's all been very organic, but, as far as the artist project goes, that definitely stems directly from Tiesto. So thanks, Tice. Appreciate you getting me
for that one then.
Yeah.
I love that, man. You honestly, based on your answer right there, I feel like you'd be kind of the perfect person. You're probably the dream person for a lot of people to collab with, just because of that attitude right there of like, hey, like sometimes it's not for me. Sometimes this is something that's going to be better for other people. Sometimes this isn't going to turn into anything. But at the end of the day, like, we're working on just making art at the end of the day, because that's ultimately what it's all about, kind of thing.
No, totally. Yeah. I mean, I hope so. I've had a lot of awesome collaborations. I had to learn a lot, working directly in the studio with another artist, and it's a acquired skill. You really have to work on it. I mean, you go in and you're like, all right, you got 8 hours, TikTok, like, let's get it moving. that's sort of hard when you first get going and nobody really tells you how to do it. You just have to figure it out. But yeah, that was one of the things that sort of took the pressure off. If you constantly saying this has to be for me, whatever, what are we trying to say? Blah, blah, blah. No, just like make something that sounds cool and see where it goes.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And you've made some great music, man. I've been listening to a lot of your stuff over the last couple of days here. And I will just say I'm genuinely very impressed by not only like the collection of songs that you've been able to release, and I'm sure there's even more that haven't even, made it to streaming platforms or anything yet. But not the collection, but also the diversity of your songs as well. Like you kind of dive into a lot of different genres with a lot of your stuff. Like you have worked with so many different artists over the years as well. Like looking back at like all the music and all the art that you've made over the years, do you have a track that you're especially proud of?
A track that I'm especially proud of. I mean, they're all, it's like sort of picking your favorite child in a way. I definitely have ones that I feel like, I've made mistakes on some. There's stuff I wish I had gone back and done differently. And then there's some that like really stand out in my mind as just, I guess there are some I'm particularly proud of. One, it didn't stream that well, but the song that I did called Deep State, that like, I had this idea in my head. I always wanted to do a song where like there was a big train horn in it. I don't know why. I think when I was a baby, I was afraid of trains, and it's not because of that, but I just always thought that the sound of the train horn is cool. And so I was like, I want to do a song with a train horn in it. I just had this idea for a long time and not really been able to execute it. And then eventually I did it. And it's like that song probably came together in like 2 days. And we got like, I was not expecting the onslaught of support on that record that we got. I mean, it was like Fisher played it at all of his shows last year. Adam Bear was playing it out at his shows. It was like Popov, like a lot of guys in techno and in tech house and stuff. And I think that's really when like it really works. And honestly, those guys were playing it out before I had even had a chance to play it out. So I was so curious what it was going to sound like on a big system. And then I did it and I was like, oh, wow, I get it. Not to like toot my own horn, no pun intended, but like it was, I was like, wow, this one, I feel like I graduated sonically into another like sort of direction with that song. And there's a lot of songs that are coming now that are sort of in that vein that I'm super excited about. Just doing that and going through that entire process is something that I am super proud of. Another one is I did a song called Fly, which is a cover of the 3-6 Mafia song. I'm really proud of that one because I remember listening to that song when I was in high school, and I like every day on the way to school, I probably like beat it to death. But it just is like, I love 3-6 Mafia. The fact that those guys approved it and it was like such a part of one of the songs I listened to all the time growing up was just like super special to me. So, that one was another one that really like stands out to me, but all of them have their own kind of like story behind why they happened. And, you win some, you lose some. I will say moving forward, it's not going to be that diverse anymore. We're going to it's like all the stuff that's coming is very, very much in one direction. And I mean, honestly, like, I think that what happened for me starting the artist project when I did put my artistic journey more in the public than a lot of other artists have. Like a lot of other artists start their artist project when they have some type of a plan, not when they're fresh off of being a talent agent with no requisite capability to create a song on the spot. I really was not that good of I don't think I could have made a song start to finish without it being completely embarrassing back when I first started the project. And everything that's happened has been my experimentation in public, really, since up until the last like year. I honestly believe that. And I know I've had some success, a lot of big DJ support in a lot of different genres for sure. But I mean, I think as an artist have to make stuff that you love and something that I found the sound that I really love. I think Deep State's a good example of that. And with the upcoming releases that I have, you're going to see what I'm saying. So
let's talk about some of those upcoming releases. I know you were telling me you kind of have the rest of your 2023 planned out. in terms of your releases. Do you have any like on the schedule that you could tell our viewers about?
Yeah, I mean, there's most of the rest of the year is pretty much, we're just like firming up the exact dates and whatnot. But I mean, the music is all done for the most part. It doesn't mean I'm going to stop making it. Just means like once your schedule fills up, you want to give each song a chance to do well without, you know, cannibalizing the last one. So yeah, I have, I don't know, probably for the rest of the year, if everything goes the way it's supposed to go, you know, fingers crossed, hopefully it all locks in, but starting June, and then there should be basically a release a month for basically the rest of the year. And I have some amazing collaborations in there that I'm super excited about. The next one coming, one of them that's upcoming is with Roland Clark, who's an absolute legend and someone I've been a fan of for a very, very, very long time. And so we have one that's super special. I'm really excited about it. I have collaboration with this other incredibly talented artist, Be No Rain, who he would be another one who, if I could add him to the list of artists that I think aren't getting enough recognition, like he's an absolute superstar.
What's the name again? Be No Rain?
Be No Rain.
Okay.
You would have heard him. He did the song with Fidelis that Camel Fat remixed. Night After Night, I think it's called. It's an incredible record. He also has some stuff with he's done stuff with Armin van Buuren. He's done stuff with Cast and Tale of Us, and he's so talented. And he has his own solo project is incredible as well. Like outside of the dance world, I mean, he could just do anything. So I'm such a huge fan of his. I'm really glad. It was a song that took like 2 years really to put together, to where we were both felt great about it. But it's just one I'm super proud of. And then I'm also I have a collaboration coming out with Alec Monopoly as well, who obviously, you know, one of the greatest artists in the world. And, you know, now he's a super talented producer. Like, I guess some people just have it because the guy can do it all. He really is an incredibly gifted artist, obviously. But then as far as production goes, it was just, I was very pleasantly surprised working with him. He's just super, super talented. And so I'm really excited about that one as well. And then some stuff that's just me, which I'm going to be posting more about it on my socials, but there's been some support coming in on unreleased stuff, and I'm just going to start letting it fly. I did post a couple previews of stuff that's upcoming. So if people want to get little snippets of that, if you go to my Instagram, there's like a little swipe through with like a white record thingy. There's a few of them on there. So yeah, there's a ton of stuff coming, and I can't wait for people to hear it, because I really think 5 or 6 months from now, the context is going to make a lot more sense. I had a show, was it last weekend? Almost 2 weeks ago at Exchange LA, where I played a lot of the new music. So nice. Okay. I mean, it was really fun to just play it out for the first time for a crowd that really does appreciate dance music. I'm not sure if you've ever been to Exchange LA, but
I actually haven't been. That's on the bucket list.
Yeah, if you make it out here, it's such a great venue, and you know, you can. I mean, everybody, all the big artists have played there. It's just, and it's such a cool place. Like, it used to be a stock exchange, and now you know, it's a club, and they've just turned it into the sickest venue, and the sound is great. It's such a fun place to play. So that was cool. But and I'll post some videos from that as well. So nice. There's a ton of stuff coming. Labels I've been wanting to work with for a long time. Artists I've been wanting to work with for a long time. So I'm really excited for the rest of the year. And, you know, I guess you'll see what you think.
Nice, man. Yeah, I know we were talking a little bit before. You kind of had to take a little bit of time off of music for a variety of reasons. I know you just had a newborn a couple months back. Congratulations, by the way, on that.
Oh, thank you.
But as you kind of start getting more into the like swing of things again, getting back into like doing shows, putting out music, all that kind of stuff, is there anything that you're particularly really looking forward to for the rest of 2023 here?
Honestly, what I just said with the music is what I'm looking forward to the most. For me, like it's one of the coolest intangible things about being an artist, and a musician, is that I'm never cease to be amazed by where people are listening to my stuff. Like I get messages every day from people all over the world, like, or you see a song getting played out in a place that I've never been. And it's really cool to have that moment. And even though I wasn't there, like I was there, and a lot of this stuff was made right here, like, or in my studio or in bed sometimes on my laptop, wherever. So I made a song that was in the hospital while my son was due to be born, while we were kind of waiting. And
no days off.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, there's not a lot to do while you're waiting for a child. He's coming when he wants to come, basically. Yeah. So you just kind of got to wait it out.
Playing the waiting game. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm super excited about that. And then I'll be doing a lot more to showcase these upcoming songs. And there's a lot more visual stuff that I'm going to be dropping, but I think it all needs to be focused around the music. There's really an aesthetic that I'm trying to push. And I think if anyone sees this who's at the Exchange show, I think they'll know, like, it's really this next phase of my career. I've never been more excited for the next phase of it. I really feel like the productions that are coming out, and even the support they're getting from people that I haven't gotten support from yet, producers that I really, really look up to, playing out stuff that I super, believe in, and stuff that, you can't just say, okay, well, I didn't get the support I wanted, this song is garbage, whatever. It's not about that, and you never know, years later, you might be able to, that song might come back with like TikTok or all these music platforms where people are discovering music in new ways. Like, that's all good for artists. Something could come back, but it is nice to see, especially with producers that I really look up to, and producers that I love everything they drop. And then that, you see them playing, I see them playing one of my songs in their sets, or a couple of my songs in their sets. And it's just like, it's a really special thing. So I feel like getting to share that with the rest of the world is going to be really cool. And I, for me, that's the best feeling, just like seeing how people react to things and having people ask me when stuff is going to come out. Some people are already all over me for some of the songs that I've just like posted snippets of, or they've heard in people's sets and they found out it was me. So yeah, I think that's 100% what I'm most excited about. And yeah, just like building from there. I kind of do spurts in the studio. So I'll do like a couple of days, and then I'll take a day away from it just to like reset. And I've never had more fun than I'm having right now. I was in Puerto Rico last week with Alec, and we were working on a bunch of music, and it was just cool to get a different vibe, different surroundings, and just like making stuff. But it's been really, coming off of having an infant. I mean, he's still an infant, but he's sort of, a little more on like a regular schedule now. He's not just like waking up once an hour and that sort of thing. So yeah, coming out of that, I've made some of the best music of my life. And I mean, I can say that with a straight face. I feel super confident with the direction where I'm going. And I could not be more excited for the rest of this year musically.
That's good, man. I'm excited for you. Like, you kind of hit it right on the head. The most important thing about all of this is that you're having fun, you're enjoying what you're doing, and you're proud of what you're doing. So I'm happy for you for all of that there. What's been kind of your most, looking back to when you kind of started playing shows, or when you started to really start getting fans that were interested in your music, what's been the most memorable fan interaction that you've had over the years?
Most memorable fan interaction? I don't know. You know what? I hate the word fans so much. Like, I don't ever, when people are like, oh, my fans want this, my fans want, I'm always like, ugh. Like, I don't know. We got to come up with another name for it. I got to come up with another name. Like, if you like my music, we're friends. I don't really. It's
what's your most memorable friend interaction? Music friend interaction.
Music fan interaction. No, I get what you're saying, but you know what I mean? Like, it feels weird. I see some artists, no shade if you're an artist who says this stuff, but honestly, it's a little like denigrating to be like, oh, my fans, blah, 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 blah.
Maybe
we got to do it for the fans. It's like,
Maybe the better word for it is supporter.
You're nothing without your fans. You know what I mean? You're literally
Yeah.
nothing without people who actually,
Mhm.
let me think. That's a really good question. I mean, I've definitely had some, it's weird to even think about having them. Like I never, like the world that I'm from, when you're a talent agent, you're not supposed to be front and center. You're supposed to let you stand in the background and your client shine. So that's what I was used to. And I was very private when I was in that world, because not just because you had to be, but because it was like, that's not what I'm here for. You know, I'm here to help other people's careers. So it was very strange to me when I started having people come up to me and being like yelling dark hard at me, and after shows, or when I would be at another artist show and someone would come up to me. And I find, honestly, every time someone comes up to me and is like, "Oh my God, I saw you here. Or, this was great, blah, blah, blah." I'm always just like, oh wow, you know who I am. Okay, thanks. Like they're all pretty memorable, to be honest. When I leave a set and I'm walking out, I'm always like shocked. I realize I just played, but it's like I'm still shocked leaving these places and having people come up to me or stop me. So I don't think I'm trying to think if there's one that's been like particularly crazy, but I don't think so. I mean, my old job, I used to work with so many people, like so many high profile, super A-list people who literally like couldn't go outside because they're just like, you can't show up to a bar if you're, Matt Damon, you know what I mean? And have a beer. Like, it's just not a thing you can do anymore. That's, so yeah, for me, it's never been anything like that stuck out. But anytime someone has recognized me or come up to me, or even like DM me and said something kind, or had a moment where they're like, "Oh, I heard this here, it was crazy, blah 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 blah." Like I can tell you this right now, if you like hear a song and you find out who the artist is and you message them with like, that's it, you're just like, "Yo, that song went off." Because I'm a dance music fan first and foremost myself. I before I ever started making dance music, I was at festivals and raves and stuff all the time, and I'd be like, "Whoa, that one like goes off." That's a crazy. It was always like the deeper ones that not the like the most popular song in the set. It would be like the in between ones where I was like, "Oh, this is a banger." And if you tell the artist who made that thing that you really like it, I mean, it goes a really long way. I can say it's like never gets old to hear that someone really loved your song in a set or sends a video.
Yeah, that's how I've made some of my really good friends, is by literally just messaging artists and telling them that I like their songs and like what they've put together. Like,
it's amazing.
People genuinely really appreciate that.
They do. And it's amazing how many people have those. You know what I've realized in doing this is most people have those experiences and they don't say anything. And it's fine. You're not obligated to say anything. But if you do like want to make any artist's day, if you just tell them that, "Hey, I saw your song in this person's set," or, if you're at the set and you post about it, whatever it is, like it really does mean a lot to people, because you hear the final result, but you have no idea what goes into getting some of these songs out. I mean, I can't even begin to describe to you the amount of work, last minute tinkering, just trying to do the best thing for your song. And so when someone recognizes that or can connect it to a moment that they had, it's just like, it really means a lot. And so, yeah, anytime someone's ever come up to me and said hi or said that they are a fan or they like my music, it's I guess I wish I had one instance that I could tell you, but I'm not going to make something up. It's all still pretty new to me too. I mean, I haven't played like a crazy amount of shows. I haven't like toured consistently. I've had strings of shows here and there, but it's never been something where it's like super, super consistent. But so I guess I'm kind of new to it, but maybe next time we talk, I'll have a funny example or something. There's a lot of funny interactions at music festivals and that sort of thing. But yeah, it's an ongoing acclamation for me.
I get that. Is there like a venue or a festival that's on the bucket list for you right now? I'm sure there's just a ton that you're hoping to or wanting to play at some point, and probably a bunch that you already have played at, but is there kind of one that you have your sights set on at the moment?
Well, what's funny is I think it's like, I could give you all the obvious answers. Who doesn't want to play Ultra and Tomorrowland and EDC and Coachella? Like, obviously those are really insane play. If you get there, it's just like a chance to show your music to people who really, I'm not going to say appreciate it the most, but appreciate it enough to spend their hard-earned money to come and see you along with other people. And you get really a production that's just like, next level. All of those in their own different way have their own sort of flavor. And I feel like I could crush it when I do get to that point, and I will. I'm very, you can mark this down, call it, if you want to call it cocky, that's fine, but I'm going to get there. But yeah, like there's definitely certain venues that really stand out. Like in LA, I think there's I think it's Nod Street Warehouse where they do Insomniac has, it's basically like, it's a festival stage. It's right next to these train tracks and there's trains going by, and it's just like the sickest, like downtown LA vibe. The sound is Insomniac, just they don't mess around with that. So you end up getting like just the craziest production, the sickest sound, it looks like a Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 level. I don't know if you ever played that. It's like,
way back in the day, I used to play that all the time.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
yep.
How there's like secret levels and stuff. Like I could see that being the Nod Street Warehouse being like, I would love to play Nod Street Warehouse. I would love to. There's not I can think of so many venues that just like, having not been to them, you're sort of like peering in and imagining like that looks super sick. There's that one in Italy that everyone's dream festival that I can't remember what it's called. The one that's like under the bridge thingy that everyone wants to do. It's super sick.
Oh, I know which one you're talking. I can't remember the name right now either. I know there's the one in London, like I think it's called Printworks or something like that. That's a really big popular one.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean, we could go down the list of all these clubs, Space in Miami, or there's just an endless amount of them, and you get a different flavor when you go. I think what's cool is like, for artists who are fortunate enough to get to the point to play those, you can do different sets in those places. Like there's some places that are
mix it up. Why not?
It's like, let's do 4 hours. Actually, one of the coolest venues in LA that I've seen dance acts at, which is like kind of weird, is Palladium of all places. It's like an old venue from, I don't even know how long it's been around, probably a better part of the last 100 years, but they've done all kinds of things in there, but dance shows in there. The sound is great. It's really just a cool vibe. And the artist kind of gets a chance to set up their own lights and their own sort of thing. And I also have a place in my heart for the Insomniac Festival, Escape from Wonderland, or they call it Escape now, I guess. Because that's like one of the ones that I went to when I first moved to LA with my now wife, the mother of my child. And we had such an amazing time there back when it was just like the production wasn't nearly what it is today.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I'd love to do that at some point, just because it's just,
it's close to home kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean, but we could nerd out to venues all day. You already, you know what I mean? Like, there's also there's something to be said for like, you kind of do have to do shows that are weird and off kilter. And in some of these, like, I mean, I think about some of the shows I played that have been, every DJ has a story about playing an empty venue. Every DJ has a story about playing a weird show that got screwed up because of sound, whatever.
Yeah, I want to hear like a memorable like show experience that you've had.
Oh God. I mean, it's been I've probably also been on the at fault for some of that when I was a promoter in college, like messing up stuff. But I've had CDJs not work and songs not load and the sound just fart out, and it doesn't look good. But you got to finish. I played to an empty warehouse one time, and when I say empty, I mean like empty, like not a soul. Like I was the only dude in there. Which, I mean, you get to a point where you're like, all right, I guess I'm just like practicing.
Yeah.
But
it's like playing in your room at that point.
Yeah. The promoter was just like, I don't know what he was doing. I have no idea, but he just went outside and like smoked weed with his friends. And I'm just sitting in there playing. I was like, whatever. But everybody has that sort of thing. And it just I think it makes you much more resilient. You get used to it. You don't really care you just kind of go on and you do your thing. And actually, while we're talking about places I'd love to play, I'd love to do Burning Man. Burning Man would be awesome.
Okay.
Like because it's not so much you've seen it. The production is not like crazy. It is crazy if you consider that they're in the middle of the desert, but it's nothing to compare to these other ones. And it's not like you get the biggest crowd in the world either.
Yeah.
You're just kind of getting people filtering in and out. It's such a vibe though.
It's just, that's exactly. It was just a whole nother vibe out there.
Yeah,
it's
totally
so different.
Totally. So I don't know. I can think of, now that I have all, I have my sound really reined in. I can just imagine the different iterations I would do in different
like venues and places.
Yeah, clubs and festivals for sure.
Now that you kind of have that sound a little more kind of defined moving forward, if you could do a back-to-back with any artist in the world, dead or alive, who would it be?
Dead or alive? Good Lord. Wow. I mean,
like who's gonna match your vibe the best up there?
Who's gonna match my vibe the best up? That's a really good question. I mean, there's like, it's so funny because when you ask me a question like that, what it does is there's like two sides of my brain. There's like the old agent side of my brain that's like, just get the biggest person possible and a massive audience so you can grow as an artist and sort of get in the mix in such a big way. And then there's like the sonically who is playing the type of shit where like we could just go back and forth and like really and like really
just feed off each other kind of
thing. 100%. So I don't know, there's a lot of people that I think would dream back to back. As far as I'll try and do a mix of the two, someone who's like pretty big and someone I would love to do that with. Like, I mean, probably my favorite producers right now are Camel Fat. Not even just right now. Like they always have been. I think those guys are just like 7 steps ahead of everybody else. So, I mean, something like that to me would be, I've seen them a couple times live too. They're just, ridiculous. And their song selection is insane. Their whole production catalog is just like, I mean, I do not know how they get their songs to sound the way that they do. It's just, they put on a clinic with every single one and you don't really know what they're going to do next. Like they're also, it's a diverse catalog, I would say, like to use your characterization, like they have a wide variety sonically of songs. And I think, back to back with those guys would be absolutely ridiculous. That's also answer. Though I'd probably be nervous.
Oh yeah,
those dudes, they're so like I've been listening to them for so long. But I'm trying to think of who else. Adam Bear, legend. He's another one where like that dude can just, it doesn't matter what kind of room he's playing. He's just like, I study his sets. Like I go on all 1001 track lists and the guy can go from, the most heavy hitting banging techno into like tech house, happier stuff. He can really just like knows how to read the vibe. And he's just like, such a sick act to see live. And then I guess like the other one who comes to mind is Eric Prydz. Prydz and Bayer back to back. Saw them. Just mind blowing. The way they played off each other with like the back and forth, like it was just so beautifully done. And
where'd you see that at?
Palladium.
Oh wow!
If they do that again, I highly recommend. It was actually Cerez D, and it's it's still Prydz, but it's Cerez D, Adam Bear back to back. They did 2 nights and sold it out, and it was just such a sick vibe. Like. So cool to see the back and forth. Like you get, if you're a music dork like I am, you get like Prydz, the kick bass, and then it would go into these rumble kicks from Bear and then back and forth. And you just felt the energy moving back and forth. And their visuals were absolutely nuts. So, just sonically, if they ever do that again. And I saw some of the stuff that, Prydz at Coachella looked insane. I also think another producer who'd be really fun is Gordo.
He's not a good answer.
He's like on stage. I just want to be on stage with that dude and just like vibing. Cause he's like,
you don't even need to go back to back. I'll just stand here and watch you while you do it.
I mean, he's the man. He's the coolest dude. But there's so many others I could list. I have so many like, producers that I look up to. And there's also some answers that I feel like are too obvious. Like who wouldn't want to do a back-to-back with like Carl Cox or George Bourne, or, it's like, who's going to say, there's so many other people I can think of who are in that sort of world. And then there's other guys who, aren't at that level, but I think will be. I could go down a list. I could just
we could spend hours just nerding out about this here.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many that like that I feel like people are kind of understanding a sound that maybe was, people would say the word underground before. I don't really see it as being that, but I really think that audiences are sort of more open to some previously esoteric genres of dance music, and it's exciting.
Yeah, no, I'm excited about kind of where music is trending right now. I feel like there's been a lot of really positive trends in the scene right now, and a lot of really, really good music that's been coming out, and a lot of talent on the rise too. And I feel fortunate that I've been able to talk to just so many people and hear about their journeys and everything. One last question that I have for you before we wrap everything up here. At Moon Landing, we're really, really big on gratitude and, just being thankful for all the little blessings we have in life. And this is something we ask to everybody. What are some things that you're thankful for in your life right now?
Oh, well, the most obvious is I'm thankful for my wife and my son. I mean, it's really it's really like, I don't want to say scary, but it's definitely, there's a lot of question marks as you're going through this. And you just want your kid to be healthy. You know what I mean? And it might sound like so many people have done it. That's why we're here, but it's when you're in the driver's seat on that and going through it, it's definitely like, something to worry about. And then my health is another thing I'm super grateful for. I just had a surgery in February. It was the most painful thing I've ever gone through in my life. It was a jaw surgery. I now have, a bunch of screws and plates in my face. Everything's fine. I'm okay. It was just when you're out and you can barely breathe and you have to sleep sitting up at night, and it feels like Iron Man is pinching your nose if you don't take your pain medication, like for 2.5 weeks. I mean, I'm just happy now to be able to, breathe and, and not feel pain in my face and chew food again. I was eating liquid. I was on a liquid diet for a long period of time. I mean, a lot of people, health sounds like an easy one, but the minute you have something that doesn't work anymore,
I'm so much more grateful for that.
You really realize like, yeah, I don't have back pain right now, but there's a lot of people who do. And the minute you talk to someone who has like chronic back pain, you realize like, yeah, your back is actually sort of a big deal. And if it does not working the way it's supposed to work, you're going to be having a tough time. And I mean, when I had to like, it was so swollen in my nose and like in my face. And then because they stuck a tube down my throat during the surgery, I don't know if it had like a spear at the end of it, but it felt so bad. I was like, did you guys put barbed wire down my throat? It hurt so bad. So my throat was inflamed too. So and my face was so puffy that like, I had to put a straw in my mouth at night to breathe. Otherwise I would cough myself away, and I'm coughing up blood. I mean, it was horrible. I had to have like a bib on. And
I didn't realize it was that bad, man. Damn.
Oh my God, dude. I could, wait, you want to see a picture of me with the thingy? I don't know if you can see on there, but like I have like the cold pack on right after surgery. It's pretty crazy.
Show me after this. I'm definitely down to see that.
Yeah, it was like I was just super, super puffy, and I had like two black eyes, and I was like,
oh man.
So
you're making it sound like you just couldn't go on a plane. I didn't realize there was all that went into it too.
Oh man, no, it was really bad. It really sucked. I mean, I'm super grateful for my health consistently. And then I would be remiss not to say, I think I have a very unique perspective on being grateful about being able to have this career. There's something that I've been told by a lot of very accomplished actors, which is the reward is doing the job. That's the reward. There, you can't look at it like money and fame and all these other things that come with it. It's doing the job. If you get to be an actor, if you get to be a musician, the reward is getting to continue to do it. And so I'm not where I want to be in my career. I have a lot of aspirations that I am going after right now. But I'm very grateful to be able to wake up and do the job. And it pays the bills, and it's fun, and I get to push my creative vision and show people and make things for other people to enjoy. And it's not lost on me. Not everyone can do that. It took me a while to get here, but it's something that I think about often, because I've done every kind of job you can imagine. When I was in high school, I worked in a plastics factory, and I had to throw, basically it was plastics for RVs. So the way they make like the sink and like an RV is they do these molds, and it's plastic, and they screw up all the time. So you end up, but they don't want to waste the messed up ones. So what they do is they grind all that plastic back up, and then they melt it back down, and then they use it again. Right. So, so there's no waste. But my job in that factory was I had to take all the defective pieces, put them on this conveyor belt. They would go into this grinder. So it's super loud in there. You have to wear like earphones over your ears to protect them. And then I had to wear like these. You're not talking to anybody. It's like 8 hours just tossing plastic onto a grinder every single day. And it was like my summer job. And to this day, I think about it. There's still people, there's still guys in that factory right now doing that job, working for the weekend or for whatever. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's a great, honorable thing to do, but it's not something I think I would have been capable of doing for a long period of time. I'm grateful there are people who can do that for a long period of time, but I'm also grateful that I don't have to do it. And for me, just being able to have a job where I get to do something creative is like a dream come true. So, it's definitely something. And then also being on, I've had side jobs. When I left the agency, it was very humbling. I was doing 100 phone calls a day. Everybody wants to talk to you when you're a talent agent. Everyone wants some of your time when you're a talent agent. Go from that to being a bottom of the barrel in music. Your phone stops ringing real quick, and it can get quite lonely if you're used to speaking to people a lot. And I'm not ashamed to say that, but it's a very rude awakening. And so now that I've gotten to a point where I've been able to make enough waves to where people want to listen to my music and come to my shows, I'm super grateful for that. And I think about that a lot too.
Nice, man. Yeah, lots to be grateful for in this life. Thank you for sharing all that. I appreciate that. And thanks for taking the time to chat with me. I know we went a little bit over time, and I want to be conscious of your time and everything, but any last thing you want to shout out or talk about before we wrap things up here?
Just if you're interested in keeping up with me, just follow the Instagram. There's going to be a lot of stuff coming that I think is really exciting. I think your audience will vibe with. Not, a lot of it's related to the music that's coming out, and I have big plans for everything around that. So stay tuned on, my Instagram, which I'm guessing you guys will link somewhere.
Yeah, we definitely will.
And that's where you can keep up with everything that I'm doing and continue the adventure. I can say one thing about me. It's never boring over here. So you're always going to
follow.
I definitely am not doing. Listen, I quit a very sought after job to do something absolutely insane. So you don't know what you're going to get. I'm very unpredictable. Who knows what's coming next.
I love that. Well, hey, you just got to follow from me, man. I hopefully get a follow from a bunch of other people listening here too. But hey, man, I can't thank you enough for taking the time to talk with us. I know that was a great long conversation the whole way through. So I appreciate it. For those still listening, thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of The Launchpad. My name's Grant, and this was Dark Heart.
Amazing. Thanks, dude.
You better check that list. Check it twice, check it 3 times. Everything I'm wearing, looking so fresh, I'm looking so nice. Everything's easy, everything. What you mean you don't know about me? You better check that list.